The 1982-83 National Hockey League season lasted one series too long for Wayne Gretzky and the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers steamrolled through the regular season and playoffs until they hit the Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders. Against the experienced and determined Islanders, cracks began to show in what to that point appeared to be an invincible Oiler machine. The Oilers, including number 99, suddenly looked ordinary. Faced with a team talented enough to nullify their strengths, Oilers couldn't or didn't adjust, nor were they willing to sacrifice themselves to the same extent as the Islanders. The Oilers will be back in the Stanley Cup final, no doubt, and they'll be better once they've done a little growing up. Their team leader and hockey's #1 attraction, Wayne Gretzky, is on the hot seat and facing our panel of Steve Simmons, columnist with the Calgary Herald, Ken Newans, CFCN Radio and Television, and Jim Taylor, columnist for The Province in Vancouver and a freelance broadcaster. I'm Russ Peake. We'll be back after these messages with number 99 on the hot seat. Putting Wayne Gretzky on the hot seat must be something akin to attacking motherhood or the flag, but if anybody can do it, we have the panel. Let's go to Steve Simmons.
Thanks, Russ. Wayne, when the Oilers lost to the Los Angeles Kings a couple years ago, the finger was pointed directly at Glenn Sather for not having the team prepared properly. Again, when they lost this year to the Islanders, people said it was Sather whose outbursts after Game 1 just destroyed the Oilers. What's your opinion of that?
Well, I think you grow as a team, and management and coaching staff is definitely a big part of the hockey club. I remember losing to Los Angeles the 5th game, and it was very disappointing in the dressing room, discouraging, and the only way we could turn to was to correct our mistakes that had happened in the playoffs, and hopefully the next season would turn it around. And we did that. We came out the next year, and we had a fabulous year. We had a great playoff. We worked hard as a team in the playoffs. Unfortunately for us, we didn't win, but you can't blame it on one guy, and you can't blame it on one coach. His coaching staff prepared us and tried to do the best they could for the hockey club, and maybe the Islanders were just a little bit better than we were.
But Wayne, did you not allow Billy Smith to psych you? I mean, my goodness, I watched the replays of where you and Anderson got the sticks. I don't imagine it felt that great, yeah. But didn't you allow that to sort of balloon completely out of proportion, bigger than the game itself almost?
See, I guess because of the fact that when Wayne Gretzky's in the paper, sometimes it gets a little bit blown out of proportion. If you remember, after Game 1, Glennie Anderson went down with the stick that Billy Smith had hit him with. He didn't return to the hockey game. I remember sitting in the dressing room the next morning following the game, and we were all watching the tape, sitting around, and the idea was, okay, are we going to keep quiet about it, or are we going to try to stir the pot and try to offset Billy Smith? Unfortunately, we did what we did, and Billy Smith didn't get riled at all. It seemed to work against us instead of for us. But we had to try to do something to throw him off because he had played so well. Game number 2, when I was hit and went down, Billy Smith, the quote was that I rolled around the ice, whatever it may be, but on the film, if anybody did see the film, that immediately I was the one who went after Billy Smith and chased at him, and I was not rolling around the ice. I was simply asking him to take his mask off and let's do it right here or whatever. And unfortunately, Billy Smith said that his famous quote said we were rolling around the ice. But we had to do something. He played well. He played exceptionally well, and we just tried to do something to stir the pot.
In retrospect, you wish you'd done something different?
Oh, it's hindsight. I mean, we can't. If we could go back to it, the thing we should have did when he hit Glenn Anderson is went right at him and straightened him out right at that point. Unfortunately for us, we didn't. It was a close hockey game. He did take a penalty on it. We might have been able to score on the power play. As it turned out, we didn't. But we had to try to do something to shake him up, and it didn't work.
It may be a sad commentary on the state of hockey, Wayne, but don't you think it might have been more effective and maybe even turned the series if right after that first incident, Semenko or someone had just gone over and punched him right in the mouth?
Well, I don't like pointing fingers. We lost as a team. My job was to score goals, and I didn't do that. We have guys who are paid to play well defensively. Some of the guys didn't do as good a job as they could have. We have guys who are paid to fight, and you don't point at one guy, but definitely
no,
we should have
Semenko, not
yeah,
necessarily.
There's no question that we should have straightened them out right there, and that, I think, when we didn't, that gave the team a feeling of, well, he can do anything out there. They're not going to bother us, so we're going to waltz through this.
But I can't imagine someone like Semenko not going to the aid of a teammate, and if he didn't, I can't imagine Sather not prodding him to do it.
Well, number one, David is always there to help the teammates. He's definitely the guy that he sticks his nose in there. He's not willing to go out and fight every shift, but he's there to protect the players, which is his job. In the series against Calgary, David did play a lot because Calgary was a bigger hockey club and they wanted to play the physical game of it, so David played a lot more. Against the Islanders, it was more of a faster pace and more of a skating game. Consequently, he didn't play a whole lot. With him not being on the ice in a 1-0 hockey game with 10 or 11 minutes to go in the hockey game, you know, that was the situation we were at. We couldn't go at him because we had a power play that would have nullified the power play, so we had the pros and cons, and you know, unfortunately it didn't work out.
Wayne, this was a series the whole world of hockey was waiting for. They called it the Dream Series, but didn't it really denigrate into a freak show at the end?
Yeah, it was unfortunate. You know, the whole series turned out to be disappointing for our point of view that we lost 4 straight. I remember sitting there saying, God, we got to win one game, even Vancouver.
Well, wasn't it disappointing for hockey?
Thanks a lot.
You know, throw the Oilers aside, wasn't it a disappointing series for hockey?
Oh yeah, I think that you know, all the crap that was said on TV and in the paper and all that stuff, it got to be, I mean, it got to be boring, it got to be sickening. I mean, we're here to play hockey and you do your job as hockey players. I remember saying, and I believe you were there, Stephen, that after I'd been hit by Billy Smith, standing up on the podium with 150 people, the press asked him, Wayne Gretzky, what happened on the incident. I distinctly remember saying it was an accident, and I know darn well in my mind it wasn't an accident. You know it wasn't an accident. But here we were trying to downgrade it because the first time it didn't work, and he comes out and stones us again. So we tried to downplay that stuff. You know, the things that were said on Hockey Night in Canada, all that kind of stuff.
Wayne, just do you think, pardon me for interrupting, but do you believe that possibly the way you breezed by Calgary and breezed by Chicago did not prepare you too well for the Islanders? Were you surprised with the Islanders' discipline and their depth?
We were surprised, but we weren't surprised. I mean, they've won the Stanley Cup 4 years in a row now. 3 times Stanley Cup champions. We knew we were up against a darn good hockey club. We came in against Calgary. People were predicting us to maybe even lose in 6 games. We blew Calgary away. We've just played exceptional hockey. We go into Chicago. We're playing a team that the coach wins Coach of the Year. They come out. They have a fabulous season. We beat them 2 straight at home. They take a lot of penalties the first couple of games, and we dominate on the power play. Maybe their goaltending wasn't as great as it could have been. We go in there in front of 22,000 people screaming, and we win a game 3-2 in their rink, and we beat them 4 straight. Now we're coming home and we're playing the Stanley Cup champions. The city's hyped, the province is hyped, Canada's hyped. Everybody wants to see this series. So we play the first game, and we're out shooting the Islanders, I believe, something like 32-14, and we're down 1-0. We can't buy a goal. The guy played exceptionally well. We get behind 1-0, and we can never catch up.
Wayne, coming from a city where a good season is 10th place, I can't understand all the fuss. If I had a choice between watching a team like the New York Islanders fool around for 3/4 of a season and then push a button and go on into the playoffs, and watching the Oilers, who give you 40 games of excitement, I know which way I'd go, and I wouldn't care if you never won the Stanley Cup. But the one question I did want to ask, do you have the kind of team that wins Stanley Cups? I mean, you know, it's almost as if you have to have 2 different kinds of team. You play one game, and then in the playoffs, you've got to totally switch.
Well, I think that we made great strides in breaking that tradition. Last year we played so offensive-minded, and of course we lost 3 games to 2 to Los Angeles, and everybody said, well, you can't play offensive-minded hockey and win the Stanley Cup. That's, you know, there's no way it's possible. So then we come into the playoffs this year, and we play 3 playoff series, and we blow everybody away, and it's all offensive-minded hockey. We're playing super hockey. We go against the New York Islanders, and we can't score the first game. We score the first game, we win the first game. Maybe that changes the whole series around. A young hockey club, not as much experience as that hockey team, maybe not as much depth as that hockey team. Definitely a team that's never been to the final, and they've been there before. I think we can win offensively. I think that we're getting to a point where we're disciplined enough to know how to make the transition from offense to defense, as the Soviet hockey club does. I mean, they're not an all offensive-minded hockey team, and yet they're not all defensive-minded. So I think we're getting closer to that, and I hope one day that we do win a Stanley Cup, simply because it'll be more entertaining hockey for the fans to watch.
But it was the Sutters and the Nystroms and the Tonellis and the people that the Oilers don't have that beat you.
We have those people, though, and they did outwork us, and that's where we lost. We have those people. We have the Pat Hugheses. We have the Davey Hunters. We have the people, Kevin Lowe.
But isn't that a step in quality down from the Tonellis and from the Sutters?
Well, I think that Brent Sutter and Dwayne Sutter are two pretty good hockey players. And I mean, if you're going to compare Pat Hughes and Davey Hunter, that's pretty comparable. I mean, they do the same job for that hockey club as those two guys do for our hockey club. But the biggest thing that I believe in is that you're only as good as your surroundings. You put the Sutter brothers, and I don't mean to pick on them. I mean, they won the championship. They deserve the championship. They're good hockey players. You put those two same hockey players in a city like Pittsburgh and see what happens. See what kind of talent they show there. It's a whole different ballgame. You're only as good as your surroundings. And the Islanders are a great hockey club. If the Sutters played in Edmonton, we'd be that much of a better hockey club. But I'm a big believer. I mean, I'd have the toughest time of my life if I had to go play for Pittsburgh. It's tough to play on a team where you haven't got anybody helping you. I'd love to play with Michael Bossy. I mean, he's a great hockey player. I'm sure that anybody would love to play with him.
The Sutters you've just talked about told me a year ago, don't talk about Wayne Gretzky, talk about Trottier. He's the best playoff hockey player in the world. What's your assessment of Trottier?
My assessment is the same as I say about everybody. Brian Trottier is definitely one of the best hockey players that I've ever played against. He's definitely one of the smartest, most dedicated. I mean, everything speaks for itself. His record is everything. I mean, but it's the same as I just said about Wayne Gretzky. You put Wayne Gretzky in Pittsburgh, I mean, I'm going to have a tough time playing. You put Brian Trottier in Pittsburgh, he's going to have a tough time playing for that hockey club. You're only as good as your team.
But you won a scoring title with Brett Callaghan on your wing and Blair McDonald and people who've done nothing since they've left you.
Well, okay, I'm comparing two different kind of hockey players. I'm more of an offensive-minded player than Brian. And at that time, Glenn just kind of gave me the ropes and said, go. I mean, we were first year in the league, and I believe, what was the scoring that year? 137, 138 points. It was a transition maybe in the league, a lot of young new players. Maybe the right timing for Wayne Gretzky.
Gentlemen,
I don't think that I could do that again.
We'll be back after these messages with Wayne Gretzky on the hot seat. Wayne Gretzky is on the hot seat. Before we get away totally from this Billy Smith episode, Wayne, I want to know how hard you were hit. I got to believe that you swat some of those northern Alberta mosquitoes harder than Billy Smith hit you with that stick.
I probably was hit about as hard as it showed I was hit. As I said earlier,
you didn't take a dive?
I didn't get hit as hard as Glenn Anderson. I mean, there wasn't even a penalty called on it, and I just went straight to Billy Smith to try to straighten the situation out with him. But unfortunately, people said that I faked that I was injured. I at no time said I was injured or showed that I was injured.
Was Anderson, for that matter?
Anderson was definitely injured. He spent the day with an ice pack on his leg, with his leg propped up with a string tied around his toe to his knee, and every 15 minutes he would open it up so you don't get I believe it's gangrene from holding your leg.
Well, he must have caught him between the pant
well,
and the shin pad.
Billy Smith's quote again was, I didn't hit him in the eye, I hit him in the pad. When you're skating, as anybody knows, your stride pulls your pants up and opens a space in between your knee pad and your pants, and that's exactly where he got hit.
How stupid is the National Hockey League that they've allowed Billy Smith, though, to carry on? You were hurt by him 2 or 3 years ago, for heaven's sakes, and it's still going on.
Yeah. Well, I've voiced my opinion on it 1,000 times, and everybody says, well, Wayne Gretzky's crying about it again. I'm only saying, Billy Smith swings his stick. Just give him a 5-minute major right there, then, and it's done. Every other goalie doesn't do it. Why does he need to do it?
Fellas, is he doing any more, though, than a defenseman does when he sweep checks somebody coming in?
He is. Have you ever lifted up a goalie stick or
well,
a
that's what I'm saying,
stick?
Wayne. That's part of the point.
There's a big difference in that.
How hard can a man swing it with only one hand on the stick?
I'll tell you what, you can swing it pretty hard.
Yeah,
Are we going to wait for him?
As a former goaltender,
His quote was, I hit him in the knee, not in the eye. And I remember a pretty good hockey player, where's number 4, that couldn't play hockey again because of his knees.
You know where I think the National Hockey League was downright gutless was after the last game, after Billy Smith wins the Conn Smythe. He's sitting there, and the president of this illustrious league is sitting right next to him, and Billy Smith says, "Yeah, I faked it." He said, I rolled around, 2 can play at that game. I mean, he brought his whole league into disrepute. Right then, little John Ziegler should have leaned over, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, that little outburst is going to cost you $10,000, because if you want to bring this league into disrepute, you're going to pay for it. But they haven't got the guts.
But don't you agree with that, Wayne?
Oh, that's definite. That there's no question that he should have been fined or suspended for those quotes.
Right there, live on
Only
television.
because, not because we lost, or not because he felt that he did it because we faked our injuries and that. He embarrassed the best referee in the National Hockey League, maybe the best referee in the world, Andy Van Hellemond.
Right.
I remember standing there saying to Andy that, Andy, he didn't get hit, he's faking. It's going to come back on you. And Andy, you know, motioned me away, which he has to do. And that's exactly what happened. Billy Smith faked. If he's going to fake, keep your mouth shut.
You as players and a member of your association, when you realize what a panty waist you got as the president of the National Hockey League, must be concerned at times.
Well, I'm not getting involved in that.
Getting back to Billy Smith, don't you think personally your own whining, you know, you're not the captain of the Oilers, you're always the first guy to go to the referee, you're always the first guy to be yapping. Doesn't that hurt Wayne Gretzky? Didn't that hurt the Oilers in the finals?
Well, I wear an assistant captain of the hockey club, even though it doesn't show. Sometimes I wish I did wear the C, so when I did talk to the referees, they said that they wouldn't say that Wayne Gretzky was whining. I'm an assistant captain, and when I'm on the ice, I'm one of the guys who is responsible for finding out what the heck's going on. And when Billy Smith takes a two-hander, I mean, do I stand there and say, okay, fellas, this is okay, Billy, go out there and swing your stick at anybody
But it seems
and
it's
everybody.
you, not Lee Fogelin. It's always the first guy in there.
He's faster than Lee.
I'm faster than Lee. Have you seen Lee?
I'm faster than Lee, too.
Wayne, what about your own performance in the
Yeah.
Stanley Cup final? Were you disappointed in it?
Of course I was disappointed. I mean, I said earlier.
Why did you play so badly?
Well, I don't know if I played badly, but
But by Wayne Gretzky standards, you played
unfortunately,
badly.
I didn't score. I know what my job is, and unfortunately, I didn't live up to it. And as I said earlier, I take the roses when we're winning. I'll take the heat when we're losing. That's what it's all about.
Should have been more rested. You get too much ice time.
No,
not enough
I
ice
don't
time.
think so. I think that I was rested for the playoffs. I felt good up until then. I felt good in the finals. It wasn't as if I didn't get a shot in 4 hockey games. I mean, I hit a couple goal posts. I had an average of 6 shots a game. Fortunately, it didn't go in for me. No excuses. It just
Al
didn't
Arbor
play as well as
said
I should have.
that the way that they defended Wayne Gretzky was to leave him alone and cut off the passing lanes and check the people that you have to give the puck to and leave. If you were going to beat him, you were going to beat him yourself. Would
Yeah.
you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I mean, when I'm going over the blue line, first thing on my mind is the person in front of me. If I can't go around him, I'm looking for somebody else. They took all that away from our hockey club. Similar to the way that you would play against the Soviets. I mean, that's what they're always looking for, the late man, and that's exactly what they did, and they took that away from us. Not every team can do that, because not every team has the guy who is standing up against you that is as talented as that player, and they had 6 talented defensemen standing up. It's tough to get by them.
What happened to Andy Moog in the finals? He was so brilliant through 3 rounds. In the finals, he just seemed to collapse.
Well, Andy had definitely gotten us into the finals with his magnificent play. I mean, he stood on his head, played extremely well, and what happened maybe the first game 1-0, he played well. The second game, a couple easy goals from the angles, but you can't blame one guy. I mean, it's a whole team. Again, we probably played better disciplined defensive hockey in front of him in the 3 previous series, which helped Andy look that much better.
What does it do for a team when he lets that bad goal in coming off the boards or from the bad angle? You guys seem to collapse after each time that happened.
We did, which, there's no question that we panicked and lost our composure when a soft goal would go in. The feeling when on the bench was just, gosh, that one went in. We can't buy a goal on Billy Smith. That was the exact feeling, which it shouldn't have been, because
It's another sign of a young
Fostered
hockey
by
club.
Glenn Sather, though, after...
Yeah, it shouldn't. You shouldn't have that feeling. I think it's just a natural reaction that you have that feeling. But we know as a team, and we know that Andy Moog plays his heart out for our hockey club. We don't get discouraged at him or down at him, because we know he's doing his best for our hockey club, and we appreciate what he does. It's just in your mind you feel, gosh, we got to go down and get one now. And that's
Wayne, are you agreeing with Steve that your coach Glenn Sather showed a lot of immaturity in that playoff?
I don't think so. I think that it was a collective agreement that was...
No, but he's the leader, though. He knows he's got a young hockey club.
Glenn, with his 2 coaching partners, Teddy Green and John Muckler, and I remember being in the room and discussing what was going to happen with the Billy Smith incident. Do we go public, or do we keep it quiet, or what are we going to do?
Right.
And that was a collective agreement. Of course, Glenn is the guy who's going to say all this stuff, but that's the whole hockey club and management talking, not just Glenn Saylor. We learned from it. I mean, we learned from all our mistakes. The year before, we got tossed out on our ear. People said we were weak-kneed wimps or what have you, whatever. We bounced back and we became a pretty good hockey club, entertaining people, get their money's worth watching the Edmonton Oilers. We got to the Stanley Cup final. We didn't win, but we'll be back next year.
What do you think?
What I really don't, excuse me, Ken, but what I find all this amazing. I mean, this is the most
but you're from Vancouver.
This is the most entertaining hockey club, give or take the Soviets, in the world. And what people don't seem to remember, I remember the New York Islanders going into their first Stanley Cup final, and they got waxed. I think in the Stanley Cup final, I think you got to get your fingers burned first.
Yeah,
then you go in.
Oh, I'm agreeing. You know, I said, gosh, 4 years in the NHL, we're in the Stanley Cup final. Washington's been in the league 11 years. They had a parade because they made the playoffs.
Calgary's only been in there a couple of years, and they're almost there.
Gentlemen,
They got good seats.
on that note, we take a final break. We'll be back to wrap it up with Wayne Gretzky on the hot seat.
Wayne, how many players are you away from winning the Stanley Cup?
I don't get involved with Glenn's business, but I personally think we're 3 players away. I think we need 2 exceptional muckers like the Sutter brothers. I think that's what we really need.
Would you agree with the seeding of the teams right now? Islanders 1, Bruins 2, Sabres 3, and the Oilers 4.
Well, I don't know who drew up that thing. I don't agree with it. My only comparison to that is then Los Angeles Lakers lost 4 straight. They're the 4th best team in the NBA. That's not true.
Was the ride to the finals too easy, Wayne? Was that the big problem?
No, I don't think so. I think that maybe the first round against Winnipeg we got by pretty easy, and against Calgary. But I think we played a pretty darn good hockey club in Chicago. Maybe didn't have the experience that the Islanders did, but I think they're a pretty good team. To win 2 games in that building, that's a pretty tough chore, and we did it. We might be a year or 2 away, but we're knocking on the door, and we're going to give them a run for their money again this year.
How did the Islanders do against the Russians? The Russians' best team.
The Islanders will give them a good run for their money. There's no question about that.
Wayne, were the coaches in Edmonton negligent in not adjusting when the Isles took away your strengths as they did?
We tried to adjust. We tried every which way to adjust, believe me. We watched countless hours of films, highlights, you name it. We went over it and we tried to adjust, and every time we adjusted, they just adjusted right back.
And the fellows didn't touch on the power play. That was really a letdown, wasn't it? Did they take that away from you, or did the power play just not go well?
Well, you say you win or lose on the power play, and we lost because of our power play. We didn't capitalize, and the 5 guys who were on the power play didn't do their jobs, and that was one of the reasons.
What about the injury to Messier? How key was that?
It was a key factor. If you remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we played the Islanders and we won 2 games. We took them to 6 games. One of the key things, and I think that Dennis Potvin may be their most important player, we hit him all the time. It was Messier, Anderson running him all the time. We couldn't hit him because Mark was hurting, and that gave Dennis a lot more room, and he just controlled the play every game.
Wayne, I know the young Oilers will be back. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to Wayne Gretzky and to our panel, Steve Simmons, Ken Newans, and Jim Taylor. I'm Russ Peake. Join us next week for the Sports Hot Seat.